Good morning, welcome back to another video, and today we are going to be going over the Raw Gold Nerf and why it is a good thing. Now just stick around and enjoy the video. So I know that this video may get a little bit of backlash because I know a lot of you like raw gold farming, but basically we've had a Raw Gold Nerf which will be coming in the pre-patch or in Shadowlands, and basically what's actually going to be happening is pretty much the vendor nerf. So things like the Atoll Desire farm and the Stonehide leather farm, in order to craft it into where you actually farm up a load of leathers and then you turn those into their respective items like the strikers and the warhide stuff, and pretty much vendoring them for raw gold. They're going to be getting a nerf. Along with that, I've actually been watching a load of other people's videos on this, so that'd be like Shape and also Kraken Latte. Kraken Latte did an amazing video on that. I'd highly recommend watching about the raw gold nerf for that, and that was quite insightful. And what it seems to be is when it comes to raid farming, some of them will be nerfed as well when it comes to their vended loot. What that means in short is raw gold nerf, it's going to be reduced gold for certain specific farms in order to get gold for that hour's worth of farming or however long it actually takes to get a hold of that gold. But in regards to raw gold farming, is this the end of raw gold farming? No, it is not. In short, pretty much this happens every single expansion, so there's always something in every expansion that you can capitalize on for raw gold. Be that in WoD, we had the Kata raids, they got nerfed, and then you've got the other ones which were in Legion, and then you've got the ones in BFA now. So there's always been some form of raw gold method in order to make raw gold in your bags. And the thing that I wanted to actually touch on is why it's a good thing that they nerf it, and pretty much what does that mean for the economy. I know a lot of people aren't really too pleased about the raw gold nerfs, and quite frankly in the short term raw gold farming is a good viable way in order to make gold. Now I don't really cover it all that much, and that is mainly because I don't really like it. I don't find it enjoyable. But there is another reason for this, and that is because when you actually do raw gold farming, you're not actually like selling it. What I mean by that is the economy of the actual game has gold. That is its currency system. So that is what actually dictates what things are worth and all of that stuff. Now, if you had an engine, so in the real world, we have different types of countries which print their own money, and that determines the value of certain items in our economy for how much actual money is actually in the system, the actual flow around it. So now take that for instance, that the government have the ability in order to print money, and they can like moderate that and increase and decrease it as much as they want when it comes to all that jazz. What I'm trying to say is when it comes to raw gold farming, you're actually producing that in-game currency, so you're producing that currency for that economy. In turns gives everyone kind of like a printing press, and I'm using quotations here because when you do raw gold farming, you essentially are printing in-game currency from nowhere. Now obviously you are like doing like farming materials, but you are printing money because no one's actually giving you that money that's already in circulation. This is why map farming is still a viable method, is because people will actually trade their gold for your materials. It's a very crude way in which how trade works. So when it comes to raw gold farming, you're not actually trading that for that currency, you're essentially printing that currency. And what happens is that means more cash is in the system, so to speak, or more gold is in the system, and therefore that means that there's more gold in that economy. So when it comes to our servers, that means the more people who do raw gold farming, they're increasing the amount of gold which is in that economy, and that causes inflation, because in short, more gold in that economy will actually just increase the amount of what items are worth and all that stuff. Now at this moment in time we're seeing deflation, and obviously that will stop after everyone stops farming all of these materials. But if raw gold farming was allowed to persist and these nerfs weren't in place, then what you would see is hyperinflation within our economies. And that means goods and or services will start to cost more when it comes towards the gold making aspects. Now this may seem awesome, like I can afford my token for doing like an hour's worth of stuff. No, because that means if more people have access to that gold and those reserves, that means more people will want to buy tokens, and that will actually drive the price, the value of the token right down. So then the gold that you'll actually be getting it could drop. And we've seen this actually quite before when it came to raw gold farming in WoW. Everyone had the ability to have a printing press, and that was called your garrison, and the token actually dropped quite considerably for the gold that you would actually pay for a token. This is why Blizz have implemented these nerfs, is to stop hyperinflation happening. This is why it is a good thing, because you don't want to be able to spend thousands upon thousands of gold for materials, for less materials, when they're actually worth. So this is why these nerfs are in place. So that is, in short, why raw gold farming should be nerfed as and when. So that's why they left it to actually trickle over. Everyone was able to generate some gold, and even now, if you want to do some raw gold farming, I would definitely do it now. And obviously this isn't a dig at anyone who does raw gold farming. I generally don't mind if you do raw gold farming and all that jazz. I preferably don't like it because I don't enjoy it, but that being the case, this is what raw gold farming actually does do to the economy as a whole. Like, people get raw gold and they are able to spend it, which in turn, in the short term, it's pretty cool because everyone has gold. They can then spend it on vendor items and all that stuff. That is a stabilizing method because that gold is essentially getting destroyed. So having the Brutosaur, for instance, if you raw gold farmed yourself up towards 5 million gold, bought a Brutosaur, you've essentially created 5 million gold out of nowhere, so to speak, and then you've then destroyed it to get that mount. That's totally okay. But when you don't have those mounts, when the Brutosaur actually is taken off, stabilization method actually won't stick around, and therefore that means that the hyperinflation will actually start to trickle up because less gold is being destroyed for certain different types of items, and that means more gold is in circulation. This is why we have gold sink mounts, because they are essentially a way to funnel gold out of the economy in order to actually increase the map prices of stuff and all that stuff. So that is something that you may want to bear in mind right there. And overall, that is why I think the raw gold nerfs are a good thing, because it stops hyperinflation in our economies. Now, other than that, guys, that is my view on the raw gold nerfs. Now, what do I think of them in conclusion? I pretty much think they are a good thing, because having them be nerfed means that prevents against hyperinflation of items and the reduction of gold for your token. So that is something for that. Other than that, this isn't the be all or end all of raw gold farming. There is still raw gold farms that will be in Shadowlands, don't worry. So when one raw gold farm leaves, another one takes its place. It's kind of like a Hydra. Happens every expansion. There's always a nerf when it comes to raw gold farming or something to that effect. And there's always nerfs and stuff, and everyone finds another way of doing it. So don't worry about it. It's just only temporary. So don't worry about it. There'll be another raw gold farm in Shadowlands, I'm sure, and that is something that you may want to bear in mind right there. So it's not the end of the world. But I would say, however, is make the most of these farms as you have them right now if you want to make more raw gold and keep that on you in order to hit your goal of getting hold of tokens or a Bruto or what have you. Other than that, guys, I just want you guys to have fun. But overall, that's my views on the raw gold nerf. Have an awesome rest of the day, and I shall see you in the next video, which will be tomorrow.